Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we've got a quick video on removing the carburetor from the 53 Cub. It's going to be a real quick, simple video, and then the next thing we're going to do is clean it out, but that's going to be a whole different video. So first thing we want to do is we'll shut off the fuel on the other side of the petcock. Alright, here on the right hand side of the engine, you can see the float bowl, and right above that's the petcock. You can turn this off by simply turning the knob, or in this case a lever, clockwise. I've already done that. I've also let the engine run until the carburetor dries out with fuel starvation. So let's go back to the other side. Okay, here on the right hand side, there's a few things we're going to mess with, and we'll just start front to back. The first thing you're going to have is your air intake boot, and that's simple band clamps here, and it'll be band clamped right onto the end of the carburetor. The next thing going back is the choke. The choke lever runs all the way here to the operator station, and on the back side of that, what you have is this rod has a hook on it, and there's a hole usually drilled through that with a pin going through it. The next thing you have is your throttle, which is right above here on the backhand side, and that's the same kind of ordeal. This rod runs all the way back there, goes through a hole. It's a simple hook and a hole drilled through it, and sometimes a pin on there. The next thing we got are our actual mounting screws here to the intake manifold. The Cub is, and most old tractors are like this, where the intake manifold is the same as the exhaust manifold. That's as simple as taking these bolts out. This one appears to be a stud. This one, yeah, is a stud as well, and it's got two nuts on it. One's a lock nut and one's just a regular nut. And then finally, here in the back is the fuel line. This fuel line is the hard metal one, and it'll simply just be holding this inner flange here and then taking the lock nut off the back side, and have a container ready because you will lose some fuel in the process of that. I'll get you guys a better shot and we'll start taking things apart. Okay, first thing we're going to do is remove the intake boot from the front of the carburetor. That's as simple as just taking a screwdriver or socket and loosening these two band clamps. Mine are already relatively loose. I'm just going to slide them back here out of the way and then pull the intake boot off. I just simply rotate it and push it backwards. Next thing is there's a couple pins on our choke and throttle engagement, and see if I can get you a shot of removing those. All right, coming around the back side of the carburetor, you can see where our cotter pin's at, going through our throttle linkage. What I'll do is rotate this forward, straighten that pin out, and then pull it out with some needle nose. And there you can see the cotter pin. This rod should just pull right out, and that's the throttle disconnected. Next thing we're going to do is the same thing down here on the choke linkage. You can see this one wasn't really bent in there, and all I did was push up from the bottom on it and through the linkage. Okay, and our throttle linkage and our choke linkage is disconnected. Alright, before I move the mounting bolts and nuts from the carburetor and the intake manifold, I'm going to remove the fuel line and drain the fuel out of this line as well as the tank. So I'm going to get a container underneath here and do that now. Alright, move this fuel line. That's as simple as grabbing a couple wrenches. What I've got is a 9/16 and a 1/2 inch wrench. I'm going to simply keep the 1/2 inch wrench stationary on this fitting here and remove, we used to call these B nuts, but this nut here on the back. And I'm simply doing that because this is a brass fitting into what is either aluminum or magnesium of some sort, and I don't want to damage those threads. Alright, with the fuel line disconnected, what we can do is take off our mounting bolts and nuts. Alright, with the mounting hardware removed, we can just wiggle our carburetor down, push our control rods out of the way, and it comes right off. One thing to note, there is a gasket between the carburetor and the manifold that you want to make sure comes off. Sometimes it'll get stuck against the manifold there. Alright, with the carburetor out of the way, you can see your choke linkage here and the throttle linkage here. Giving you a closer look at the rod ends, you can see the hole where the cotter pin goes down through to secure it onto the carburetor. And after that, if we're going to leave the tractor for any period of time, what we'll do is I'll put a rubber glove over top of the manifold opening here and one over top of the intake boot here, and that'll simply just keep any bugs or debris from going up into either one of those things. And mud daubers are especially bad in this area. So yeah, simple as that. Alright guys, with those simple steps you can have your Cub Carb removed. I'm going to take us inside, go through it, maybe make a video on that for y'all. I did a live stream a while ago, but it's kind of a long one. But yeah, hopefully it helps y'all out. Y'all enjoyed it. Look back for more videos. As always, thanks for watching.